making the most advanced horror AI monster ever made. But there's one big problem. I hadn't had any feedback yet, and without feedback, it is impossible to break the mold. But that's where you all came in. A lot of you supported me, some of you doubted me, but most of you had suggestions on how to improve my AI. Some of the stuff came out insane. I can't wait to show you. Before we get into the new mechanics, let's look at some rapid progress I've already made. So far, the monster has 3 different vision cones, and a director system / fear bar that works like alien isolation, which gives the player enough time to catch their breath before promptly throwing them into oncoming traffic. It has an advanced state system like the psychopaths of Outlast: idle, ambushing, chasing, searching, patrolling, and everyone's favorite, killing. We even have states within states. We have dreams within dreams. It's just like Inception. Our sub-states, as I'm calling them, are taunting, zigzagging. That's it actually right now. But that gives our chase more variation. Another awesome thing is it does player prediction, moving to a point that the player is calculated to move, rather than just following the player. We also implemented a fully functioning sound cue system for every action of the monster, as well as an animation system for him. But that's all in the past now. Let's jump into some new stuff based on your suggestions, and with them, new conflicts that will fry my brain. One of the biggest things you guys wanted me to figure out was the stalking system, my failure. I had tried it, and it came out kind of weird. But you guys had suggested, no, you had screamed at me, look at the bracket from Lethal Company. You guys really wanted me to see this. Look at this. But how does he even work? Do I have what it takes to do it right? So I studied how the bracken functions, and I immediately realized something. This wouldn't work at all for my game. At least that's what I thought at first, and I am not giving up. Let me break down the problem and see if there's a solution. The issue is that the bracken knows where the player is at all times, but my AI has to search for you. In fact, that's what makes games like Alien Isolation and Outlast so terrifying. The monster actually has to find you. If my monster knew where you were at all times, not only would you be dead, you couldn't hide anymore, and not just because you're dead. And that's basically my whole game down the toilet. At first, I was upset because you guys were so excited, and I didn't want to let you down, but I wouldn't give up. I mean, what if I could find a compromise? What if some parts of how the bracken functioned could work? I just had to figure out how. But what makes the bracken so creepy? To begin with, I would have to understand this for myself, and then decide if any of this was in any way possible. The first thing that I think makes the bracken very scary, probably the number one thing in fact, is that he could be right behind you, about to snap your neck, knowing he could just be right out of sight, slowly making his way to kill you. It's terrifying. The second thing is that he makes absolutely no noise upon his approach, which gives the player no hint to his sudden arrival and lovemaking. I mean killing. One of his additional side mechanics is if you turn and catch him, he will run away, so he can further enhance his wrist strength for even better decapitation. Well, once I broke it down to its essential components, I figured out how I might apply it to my AI. So, instead of my AI knowing where you are at all times, which wouldn't make any sense with my hiding system, I created Blood Sense, an ability that lets the AI sense your location every 60 seconds. It can smell your blood, it can taste your fear, it knows how to cook your eggs. In the morning, it wants to take care of you. It loves you. I lost track of what I was talking about. So every 60 seconds, the AI gets a ping of where you're at. Then it rushes to that spot with no footsteps, no sounds of any kind, just like the bracken. If you're still there and you don't see him coming, you're likely dead, as it will then enter a new mode I added, charging, where it runs at full speed, kills you instantly, just like the bracken. Oh, if you manage to spot him before he finds you, he reverts back to his basic AI, which still, tries to kill you, just less aggressively. I also made sure this wouldn't get too hard too quickly. If he does kill you, his Blood Sense cooldown is increased. This makes it less frustrating if you find yourself dying too much. And for those of you who aren't dying enough, Blood Sense passively reduces its cooldown every minute, gradually getting harder if you don't die. This keeps the early game nice and smooth, and the late game a nightmare. Whee! Blood Sense, now that I think about it, reminds me a little bit of Warwick from League of Legends. If you think you're safe hiding in one spot for too long, you are not. Nobody is. Now we are closer than ever to our goal, the world's smartest AI monster. Oh, and I wanted to mention one thing. I hid 10 keys, like this one, to this secret project within this video. If you find one and activate it on Steam, you'll have the full game when it comes out. Also, don't forget to subscribe. So even though I had come so far, I had this feeling like something was missing. But before we make more improvements, let's look at the top voted comment. With 1.7 thousand thumbs up, please don't pull a Hello Neighbor on us. I do know of the game. In fact, I've seen and watched videos for years now, even before it came out, but I had to do my own research to know exactly what you meant. So before I show you how I completely overhauled my AI, let's talk about the pitfalls. Hello Neighbor. Now that I'm looking at all these old videos on YouTube, I begin to remember Hello Neighbor when it was first being developed. I think PewDiePie played it back in the day, which means it has been a while. I had lost track of the game over time. What was wrong with me? But after digging into it, I found out why so many of you warned me about it. They had promised a super advanced AI, but what they delivered was far from that. So far, it really pissed some people off. They said it would learn from your every move, adapting in real time. But in reality, it was a buggy mess, more scripted than intelligent. And this made a huge impact on all of you. Not me, because I didn't buy the game. And you all remember, even now. And you know what? This isn't the first time a game promised something and didn't deliver. I get how this happens. AI is really hard, and saying you can do something to bring more eyes to a product is a tale as old as time. That's exactly why I needed to do this right. I wasn't gonna call my AI the smartest monster ever made if I wasn't earning that title. So there I was, nothing but the shirt on my back, a cup of coffee, a room full of ants, and the shreds of time between being a dad, a husband, working a full-time job at a shipping company. And although I may not have a lot of time each day, I won't stop until I've achieved what I said I would. And despite looking like a broke Zelensky, it was time to get cracking. And you know what? I'm not a broke Zelensky. Maybe he's a rich Seth. Now let's talk about a secret edition to make our monster more creepy. Something I saw in the comments. I didn't think about this till now. How could I be such a fool? The comment said, "Your monster needs a face. Maybe you need a face." They said it was for YouTubers to make thumbnails. I immediately realized this was something I also thought about. Hearing someone voice it confirmed my worst fear. Maybe the internet bullies were right about me. Most well-known monsters have a recognizable face. We remember it, and it draws us in. I immediately reached out to the studio, the one that created the monster for me, and I began to imagine, what are some common things in a horror monster face? One of the things I saw in most designs was a very big, toothy, creepy smile. We see this in many famous horror characters. Pennywise, Freddy, Fazbear, Choo Choo Charles, the list goes on. And the second thing I found out was large eyes, black or white, and a distinct lack of nose. After speaking with the studio, we began to work on this immediately, shaping my AI into something even more terrifying. Awesome. I think it came out pretty good. Oh, and for those of you who don't like the face, I'm gonna make a toggle so you can turn it on or off, because I know some of you are gonna say, it looks like crap, and you suck, Seth. I've always thought it about you. That's why your dad left. He actually left because he had mental health problems. And now he's homeless. Dark humor, it's how I cope. Now that we have a proper face instead of a Slender Man vibe, I think it makes the AI more recognizable. He kind of looks like one of the Goombas from the early Mario movie. In hindsight, those things are actually terrifying. And with that artistic improvement, let's move on to the next big mechanic. This is something a lot of you suggested, with over 800 upvotes. Something you didn't want to experience, but you really wanted to see. Well, you're about to see it. But first, let me share some little improvements. First, I reworked an animation, so it's more crawly. This is the new chase animation. He leans forward, getting his little sharp fingers, ready to grab you. His head shaking like a crack addict, looking for a fix. I'm in love with this. It's incredible how much this changes it. Then I reduced the sound coming from him. Seemed a lot of you thought it was too much. We went minimalistic. Quiet equals scary. I removed almost all of his sound effects except for creepy little clicking feet. Then I add this little minimalistic taunting cackle he does. Blends in quite well, and it keeps things subtle while showing you that he is enjoying the experience of hunting you, as do I. Another small thing I improved before I share that huge new mechanic, light detection. This was actually inspired by Alien Isolation. Sticking to the shadows keeps you more hidden, which encourages sneaking around. Let me explain to you quickly how I took a simple approach to what could have been a very complex problem. First I thought, what does light actually affect? The answer is vision. And how can we represent this? I pondered. Well, being in a well-lit area increases the monster's vision. Being in a shadowy area reduces it, and being in a hiding place greatly reduces it. Now that stacks with your flashlight. While having your flashlight out, he's 15% more likely to see you, and so you are 15% more likely to die. This is a very simple system, I will admit, but it took me a whole day to figure out and program. This is a good lesson that by taking something that could be complex and simplifying it, we've greatly optimized the script. And by having both light, shadow, and hiding places, not to mention your flashlight bonuses, you really have to choose wisely where you're gonna go. It's little things like this that increase the immersion of the character and create a more challenging experience. Okay guys, ready to reveal the big mechanic, one that will change the experience of the player. Remember that comment? Oh, you remember the comment, don't you? Don't you? This is one of the top voted ideas. The idea of the monster knowing the entire layout of an area and trying to lead you to a dead end. Only I have no idea how to do that. But then it hit me. That's what sheepdogs do to herd sheep. And then I remembered when Babe goes berserk and bites that sheep's leg. Why were 90s movies so disturbing? With these terrifying mental images, I begin to conceive the three main elements to achieve this dream. I call this mechanic herding. Here's how herding in my game works. The first part of the equation is strafing. The AI moves from side to side, controlling where you go. It then matches your movement, slowly pushing forward, cornering like the scum you are. I didn't mean it. Now I have to admit, this alone works pretty well, but there are other aspects. Next, we added blocking exits. If you try to escape, the AI races ahead of you and cuts you off. You must think quickly. He only lets you go where he wants you to go, just as a sheepdog would, or Babe. And where does he want you to go, you might ask? Well, we only needed one last thing now. Charge attack. If you enter a dead-end trap, it will charge at full speed, going in for the instant kill. But where have I seen this before? Oh god, this means if you're not paying attention, the AI might already be pushing you into a trap without even realizing it. This will make you think twice about which route you take. And is he chasing you, or is he hurting you? With herding behavior now a core aspect of our AI, it gave it even more complexity. This feels like a huge step forward in our goal, and I am really happy with how this turned out. That's thanks to you guys. I genuinely believe this might be the smartest AI horror monster ever made. But is it enough? Now, many of you are probably saying, Seth, you piece of trash. What about my suggestion? You ignored it. You must hate me. You must wish harm upon my family. Well, I'm here to tell you I probably didn't ignore it. I read every comment. And you want to know what? I'm probably working on it right now, but I don't want to promise anything I can't deliver. So I won't tell you what it is. Just know that I'm always listening. Your guys' opinion truly matters to me. And in fact, I cannot do this without you. So make sure to leave your idea for the AI in the comments now. And don't forget to subscribe. I think I've done it. I think I've finally created the most advanced horror game AI ever made. But can we go further? I want you to test it out. Click the link down below. Save your spot in the beta of this secret game. This has been Seth Studios. Bye!